Hi, I'm Savannah Sawyer. Here's my audience members. We have Holly, Sailor, Kaylee, and Lyndall. Today I'm going to be discussing George H.W. Bush. He was the 41st President of the United States, and he was a remarkable man. I'm going to talk about his history and how he grew up, the things he did for this country, and his passing. Like I said, he was the 41st President of the United States, and he also served our government in many other positions. Now I'm going to talk about the life that led to him being such a great leader. George Herbert Walker Bush, also known as George H.W. Bush, was born June 12 of 1924 in Milton, Massachusetts. He lived a big life before he even turned 18. He was born into a very politically involved family and a wealthy family. His family had a really big impact on him eventually becoming a political leader. He met his future wife when he was only 17 and she was only 16, and they later became married. He was listed into the Army when he was only 18 years old. According to the website George H.W. Bush, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross Award for his amazing service in our military. He was also known as the youngest pilot to serve during World War II. After serving a total of 58 combat missions, he went on with the rest of his life. He attended Yale University and he graduated in 1948 with a degree in economics. After this, he moved to Midland, Texas and found great success in the petroleum and oil field industry. His early life was amazing, but it was later on in life that he became really politically involved. He spent a lot of time in the government. His first time in the government was spent in Congress. In 1963, he served as the Harris County Republican Party chairman. He then served in the House of Representatives for 2 terms. He then wanted to run for president. However, he fell short on his first attempt. He lost to Ronald Reagan, but he ended up becoming his vice president. In 1984, Reagan was re-elected for president and George Bush stood by his side for both terms. He then decided it was his turn for the Oval Office. He won the 1988 presidential election, and in 1989, he became the 41st President of the United States. According to Stephen Collinson on CNN, he beat out his opponent Michael Ruckus, and he was the first vice president to become president since 1837. He accomplished so many things while he was president. He responded to dissolve the Soviet Union, he helped with the invasion of Kuwait, and he removed a toxic director of the military, and so much more. He helped our country in so many ways. He was truly an outstanding leader. This whole country was really saddened to hear of his passing. He passed away on November 30th at 10:10 in Houston, Texas. He was a marvelous 94 years old, and his wife Barbara Bush had passed away only 8 short months before. This was a really difficult time for George H.W. Bush's family, but they were comforted by the fact that it was his time and that he did so many great things throughout his life. According to the Washington Post, on his final day, he was asked if he wanted to go to the hospital for treatment. He responded, "No, I'm ready to go be with Barbara and Robin." Later that day, he had a conversation on the phone with his son. His son was talking about how much he loved him and how much of a great father he was. He responded back to his son, "I love you too," and those were his final words. He had many funeral services, so many people could honor him before going to his final resting place. The first service was in Houston, Texas, and it had a public viewing for many people to attend. He was then flown to the U.S. Capitol, where a funeral was held in the Washington National Cathedral. He was then taken back to Houston. After these services, he was transported by motorcade to College Station, Texas. He was buried at the George Bush Presidential Library. He lays to rest next to his wife, Barbara Bush, and Robin Bush, who is their daughter who passed away at the age of 3 in 1953. George H.W. Bush's death was a tragedy for all, but he was an amazing man who will be remembered forever. He lived a truly remarkable life. He was born into a political family. He served in this military. He did so much for this nation in and outside of his presidency. He truly was a wonderful man. His passing was sad, but we can look back and see what an amazing man he truly was. President 41, George H.W. Bush, an incredible man whose memory will live on forever. Thank you, and here's my audience.